Hello, everyone. I'm Lizzie from the Frank and Lizzie Show, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to an exciting episode that you definitely do not want to miss. So, today we're diving into the incredible world of advocacy, community, and inspiration with none other than Christine Ryan, the Executive Director of United Ostomy Associations of America, or UOAA for short. Now, you might be wondering what makes UOAA so remarkable. Well, buckle up because Christine is about to reveal all the extraordinary work that UOAA is doing to transform lives, challenge perceptions, and support countless individuals living with ostomies. From their fantastic initiatives to the vibrant community connections, you're about to discover how UOAA is making a real difference in the world of ostomates everywhere. Whether you're new to hearing about ostomy awareness or you're an advocate yourself, this episode is packed with insights, heartwarming stories, and yes, even a few surprises along the way. Trust me, you're going to walk away feeling inspired, enlightened, and maybe even motivated to get involved. So sit back, relax, and get ready for this entertaining and informative episode all at once. Let's dive into the fascinating conversation with Christine Ryan of UOAA. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Well, we've talked a lot about some of the basics of ostomy care, and we're getting into the quality of life issues and kind of more what is important for the ostomate. And in all of our videos, we've mentioned the UOAA. So I thought it was really meaningful for us to at least start with who is the UOAA?
Well, United Ostomy Associations of America was founded by a gentleman by the name of Ken Ockett and his wife, Linda Ockett. This was established in 2005 after the original United Ostomy Association closed its doors. So it actually celebrated its 20th anniversary in 2025. We are a nonprofit, we're a 501c3 charitable organization, and our mission is to support, empower, and advocate for people living with an ostomy or continent diversion.
That's great. I know I visit your website frequently, and it's been a huge help, not only as a WOCN, but when I'm helping to guide my patients. So, can you tell us a little bit more about the UOAA's mission and the things that you're doing to accomplish that mission?
Definitely. So, several years ago, we really looked at what our mission was and thought very carefully about it. Our mission really is to promote the quality of life for people with ostomies or continent diversion through information, support, advocacy, and collaboration. Our ultimate goal is really to raise awareness of this life-saving surgery and to help reduce the stigma surrounding having an ostomy or continent diversion. We recognize that there are approximately 725,000 to 1 million people in the United States living with an ostomy or continent diversion today, and up to 100,000 ostomy surgeries are performed annually.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge number, and I think it's not something that's talked about enough. So people don't really understand the volume of individuals that are affected, because certainly it's not just the individual with the ostomy or the continent diversion, but their care team, their family, the people that they love. And I think it's important because you have things for all of those, part of the team as well. So you mentioned the mission, but how is that work getting done?
Um, it is in multiple ways, and I will state, Lizzie, that you are correct. When we created a lot of the educational resources, for instance, this is one of the ways that we accomplish our mission. We are looking at who is this for? Is this for the patient? Is this for the caregiver? Is this for the wound ostomy continent nurse? So when we create a lot of our educational resources, we're looking at who is reading that information as well. So that's one of the ways that we are accomplishing our mission through our educational materials. We have our new ostomy patient guide. We have very surgery specific living with an ostomy guides from a patient's perspective. We have a guide on sexuality and intimacy with an ostomy. One of our most popular ones is eating with an ostomy,
Mhm.
and also our ileostomy blockage card. The other things that we do is we have a very robust website, ostomy.org. And again, there are resources on there for the ostomate themselves, for caregivers, for medical professionals. And this information on our website is updated on a regular basis. There is new content being added to it. So we always recommend that people go to ostomy.org on a regular basis to really learn what's going on in the ostomy world through our organization. We also celebrate every 3 years World Ostomy Day, and we do that with our international ostomy community. We just had that in 2025. And every other year, we're celebrating Ostomy Awareness Day. And so that is coming up on the first Saturday in October, which is October 3rd this year. So every year, we're celebrating either World Ostomy Day or Ostomy Awareness Day to really bring to the forefront, the resilience and the celebration of those people that are living with with an ostomy, and then also to celebrate those that are caring for them and the medical professionals as well.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I didn't hear you mention, but I know I have definitely partaken in is your webinars. So I know I've given some of my ostomates the webinars that are coming up, and I think they're done so well because it could be done for general public, for clinicians, for an ostomate, anybody. And the guests that you have on are so knowledgeable and so interesting, and the way that they break down the information to make it really digestible has been a huge help for not just myself but my patients as well, when we guide them to there. So I know you talked about the website a little bit, but I know that was something that I loved consuming from the UOAA.
Right. That's one of our kind of our educational arms is we wanted to create a series of these webinars. So we started that several years ago and it's gone over very well. Like you said, the guest speakers that we have on are experts in the field of the topic. We've also had, fellow ostomates on, wound ostomy continent nurses. So it's a variety of topics on really relevant information that we want to get out and share. And the good thing too is that all of those webinars are recorded as well. So if people cannot attend that particular one, they can always go to our website and go to the Ostomy Academy webinars under events, and they'll see all of those recorded webinars as well. So thank you for bringing that up because that is a really interesting way for us to be able to share information. And some of the other things that we do as well is we do have an information line so people can contact us on a daily basis from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We have someone in our office that's actually answering that phone. You're not getting a recording, you're actually getting a person. And we also get several inquiries on our website every day. So an individual is reviewing those and responding to those correctly. And then we also, we have over 265 affiliated support groups all over the country. So that's another way that we're really trying to connect individuals that maybe are in a place in their life where they feel like they need to speak to someone. We have a lot of information on the physical aspects of living with an ostomy, but not so much on the emotional support. So having these affiliated support groups and those leaders available to, a number of people that are contacting us for a variety of reasons is fantastic.
Yeah.
And they're all volunteers, and we love that, that they're so passionate about having those support groups all over the country. So we do connect them that way. The other thing that we do is that we really want to collaborate with like-minded organizations. So we have worked very closely with the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. We have information about, them on our website, and they've done the same thing on theirs because we know a lot of people with IBD are considering or may and someday have an ostomy. So we have a whole series of web pages specifically about that process. We also work with Fight Colorectal Cancer. We want to raise awareness with them. We're part of the Bladder Cancer Alliance Network, which is specifically, for people that are living with bladder cancer or had bladder cancer and now have a urostomy. And of course, the WLCN Society and so many other like organizations that really want to support the ostomy community.
Yeah, I think the support groups is one that I'm glad that you highlighted because I know that's always an ask of especially new ostomates. And I think one of the things that you didn't mention was just the connection. So talking to somebody. So often you have, as a new ostomate, you might have a care team of like ostomy nurses, your surgeon, case manager potentially, or social worker. But then just speaking with somebody else who is living that same experience as you is so valuable. And knowing that
It
there's
is.
a safe spot to talk about it, because there is a lot of hesitation for them not knowing what is the normal. So just even hearing what other people are experiencing is so valuable to especially I think the new ostomate or an ostomate that's had a change of something recently. So
Right. And you really it's such a valuable resource. And we do have individuals that call us on a daily basis that really are kind of at their wits' end on how to live with an ostomy. And if we can say to them, let me connect you with a support group. You can speak to the leader. They might have in-person meetings, or they're meeting on a virtual basis. Some of them even have hybrid meetings. And you're right. You're connecting with other people that have lived the experience, that have that knowledge. They can help to alleviate the fears and the questions that a lot of new ostomates have. And we also invite their caregivers to attend. And WLC nurses are part of that conversation, whether they're a leader or they're just a part of that support group that can also help when it comes to some medical questions that might arise. So it's a very, very valuable resource for the community.
yeah, that's great. So, you know, who are all the fantastic people that are making this happen?
So, we're a very grassroots organization. We only have 4 full-time employees. They are myself, our director of strategic communications, director of advocacy, and our program and event manager. We have 2 part-time employees, the person that answers our information line, and we also have one that's dedicated to supporting the affiliated support groups. They have some other responsibilities, but that's their primary goal. We also have a webmaster and a person that we work with to develop our web pages. But as you can see, it's a very small office of individuals that are really, behind the scenes taking care of this national organization. We wouldn't be able to do this without our volunteer governing board of directors. That includes our president, who currently is Cheryl Orey, our president-elect, who is Justice Anderson, our treasurer and legal secretary, Ted Langevin, our director of affiliated support group affairs, Nicole Richards, our director of young ostomate outreach, Christine Miller, and we have 5 other directors at large. And they all are living with an ostomy. So they understand, what people are going through. They understand the community that we're serving. And so with their guidance and we really are, I think, always moving in the right direction to make sure that we're supporting the needs of the community. We also have a volunteer medical advisory board that's made up of colorectal surgeons, WLC nurses, gastroenterologists. So they're always reviewing all of our educational materials to make sure that that information is accurate and relevant. And we have 2 volunteer committees. One of them is our patient advisory board. So when we are looking at developing new information, looking at advocacy tools, creating new materials, we might reach out to them and say, does this look like this is something that would be important for the community to have? And then we have an education committee as well. So they're working always behind the scenes on what new educational materials we could create and content on the website.
Well, and this definitely takes a community because
It
all of
does.
you have done such a, again, I'm just praising you guys for the great job you've done, especially on education. So, I'm a huge advocate for education, but the resources that you have available for anybody and certainly for free, which is the wonderful thing, is so
Right.
important. But obviously, you have to, doing all that takes money and time and effort. So I think it's really important for people to understand that people can join the UOAA. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, I mean, we have a variety of ways that we're raising funds. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But one of the ways that we wanted to engage with the community is to offer a national membership. It's annual membership. We have one for individuals and also for medical professionals. And that's a way for those members to help us achieve our mission. And they also help us to increase the influence and the voice of the ostomy community on a national basis. So we have, a number of WOC nurses, medical doctors, gastroenterologists that are the medical professionals that are really supporting us, as well as so many ostomates across the country that see the value in UOAA and the work that we're doing, and they want to support us, and so that we can support the current and the future ostomy community. When you join as a member of UOAA, we have a nice little membership pin. It's got the Phoenix on there, and that is kind of our symbol. You get a stoma pin. You're added to our monthly e-newsletter, so you're always getting regular updates on what's going on with UOAA. You also have the ability of being on our board of directors. And so individuals that are interested in helping us to guide through the next, 2, 5, 10 years, if they're a member of our organization, they can be on our board of directors as well. And we do give them a special gift every year. So we send out our original packet, and then every year we have a nice little fun gift that they also receive. There's a lot of important aspects of this organization. And through our membership program, we're hearing from, our constituency on what we should be focusing on.
Well, that's great. And obviously, we've talked a lot around the education and that it's one of your priorities among the variety of other priorities. But what are your current updates for those individuals that are going to your website in terms of what educational content you're working on right now?
Well, over the last, I'm going to say 3 years, our education committee has really come together to create a series of surgery specific guides. So there is a living with a colostomy, living with an ileostomy, living with a urostomy, living with continent diversions, living with a J pouch. We even have a facts booklet for people living with a nephrostomy. So all of those guides that are on their specific web pages related to those surgeries can be found there. We also connected with a company called Body Scientific. And so a lot of the medical illustrations are very clear, very easy to read. So we're really proud of those particular guides. We also updated our new ostomy patient guide, which is kind of a combination of all of those types of surgeries, as well as some stories from individuals living with those different types of ostomies. That was revised in 2024. So there's a lot of new current information in that particular publication. We also have the Living with an Ostomy Trifold. And we updated our Eating with an Ostomy guide in 2022. So there's some updated information there as well. So if people go in and kind of just do a search and look at these different types of surgeries, eating with an ostomy, living with an ostomy, you'll see those updated publications. And quite a few of them are now in Spanish as well. So we have some printed ones, like our new ostomy patient guide is available in print, both in English and Spanish. Our living with an ileostomy guide is both in English and in Spanish. And then all of these other ones, quite a few of them have been translated into Spanish as well. And they can all be found on the Spanish page that's on our website too.
Yeah, well, that's definitely needed. We're definitely seeing a lot more of that. And I think knowing what your literature looks like, I just simply love the illustrations that you have. So I think that's excellent that you've partnered with somebody. And there's such a plethora of information on there. And it's really broken down well into like each group. So like I know we talked about before that you have these series of web pages for people with IBD as well.
Hmm. We do. So we created a number of web pages related to people living with IBD, and even a section for pregnancy, which is, uncommon. You don't see information about that very often. So I would recommend, if an individual is looking at becoming pregnant or is now pregnant and has an ostomy, or has IBD, to look at those web pages. I think that those might be very valuable for that population. We also realized that there was a gap in education, and resources for children to young adults and their parents and their caregivers and their medical professional team. So we have a whole series now, devoted to this ostomy population. We even created a guide for emptying and changing an ostomy pouch for, young children all the way up to young adults. So there's some really good information in there. We have a fun video game that young children with ostomies can play and kind of learn about how to care for their ostomy as well. So that was a lot of effort on a lot of people, in their time and their energy on creating these two particular sections on our website for these populations.
Yeah. And I know we've already mentioned the webinars, and
Hmm.
those blogs that you also have. Tell us a little bit more about those educational and inspirational blogs.
Yeah, I mean, that is, I think, of all of the space that's on our website, if people can read some of those blogs, they're going to learn so much, because there's a lot of education that is provided specifically from our digital sponsors, which is Hollister and Coloplast and Convatec and Takeda, about short bowel syndrome. But
Mhm.
it's also, there's a series of blogs written from individuals living with ostomies, for a variety of reasons, and how they're living with their ostomy. There's quite a few out there for people that are very active, and so they want to share how they've gotten their life back and they're out and they're doing what they love to do, even though they're living with an ostomy. So I think that those blogs are really something for people to go in and just kind of search. And we have them set up in, if you go to the right-hand side on that web page called Latest, they're actually separated by category as well. So you can go in and just look at a specific section on, diet and nutrition, or sexuality, or living with an ileostomy. So there's all kinds of different blogs from different perspectives, from people.
That's great. And we've talked a lot about the education, but I noticed in your mission that there was still advocacy, which I think is a very hot topic right now because we're facing some challenges around coverage of supplies, for people, or even just being recognized. So tell us a little bit more about, what the work that you're currently working on, or have been working on, I guess I should say, in terms of advocacy.
Yeah, I mean, we have an education, a director of, I'm sorry, director of advocacy, and
Hmm.
her name is Janine Gleba,
Oh
and
yeah.
she has surrounded herself by really very talented and knowledgeable people that are part of her advocacy committee. And we just had a doctor join us, on that committee as well. So, having started that, Janine really recognized that people need to be able to advocate for themselves.
Hmm.
So we as an organization can advocate on a national level, and that's what we do. We're proactively advocating on behalf of the ostomy community in the United States, but we also wanted to make sure that we are providing those tools for individuals to advocate for themselves. Our agenda is always very grounded in our core values, and that is, we want to have a society where people with ostomies or continent diversions are universally accepted and supported socially, economically, medically, and psychologically. So when we put together our advocacy agenda, we're really looking at those core values, and are we working towards that? So right now there is a lot of a lot of concern about the competitive bidding program, and you can learn about that on our website, on our advocacy web pages. There's going to be a webinar that's going to be talking about, what that's all about, so people can learn the real kind of, there's a lot of misinformation, so current information and accurate information about that. And we have been on the Hill. We've been doing a lot of work with our co-sponsors of, you know, uh, advocacy work that's being done. So we're really, really fighting against what might be happening in the future with that.
Yeah.
Um,
And I
so
think
yeah, and one
one
of
of the,
the
can
go
I
ahead, I'm sorry.
And I think one of the things that I've always given out to my newer ostomates or somebody coming to me with an ostomy concern is that that patient bill of rights. And I think that's, as you're talking about, what you're doing to help the patient advocate for themselves, that piece of literature I felt was so critical to the conversation. And then I was talking with Brock Masters about the TSA communication because he was sharing his experience going through TSA with having an ostomy and things like that. So, in addition, I know that you guys have some additional pieces for the community beyond just the national work that you're doing. That it's like
Right.
marrying the education and the advocacy together. So, can you talk a little bit more about that?
I can, yeah. So, we really strive to ensure affordable coverage and access to high quality healthcare services and supplies. And so the patient bill of rights for both ostomates and continent diversion, people living with a continent diversion, that really is outlining what that should look like. We also want to protect the rights of the ostomy community and eliminate discrimination. So again, that's one of the reasons why we've got the TSA communication card. When people are going through TSA, they have the right, to not feel discriminated against, to be able to share what they've got, what their ostomy pouch is all about. So when they're going through, they're not feeling that maybe they're being pulled aside and maybe some unfortunate things might be happening with TSA. So that was created along with the restroom access card. We felt that it was important when people were on an airplane, and the light is on that says you can't get up. Well, sometimes an ostomate needs to go to the restroom. And so if they've got that access card, they can explain briefly why they need to get up and actually use the restroom when maybe that's not, what the airline would specifically want. We also recognize too that there could be discrimination in the workplace. People could feel like they're going to their public pool and not able to get into the pool. And so we've created these tools for, if people feel like, if they get into a workplace and they don't have access to a restroom, or they have to work so many hours before they can take a break. It's educating maybe the people that hired them and the employers themselves on what it means to have an ostomy. And if it doesn't resolve, then we've got tools for them on next steps. What do they do next? The same thing with swimming. If they feel like they're being discriminated against, educating that individual that might be prohibiting them from going into the pool so they don't have to go to the next step. But also understanding, kind of like the myths and the truths around having an ostomy. I think just having a resource like our Mythbusters is great because, there is a lot of misinformation out there. So we wanted to create something similar to that. And it's, helping to erase the myth and the stigma surrounding this life-saving and life-changing surgery. So a lot of the tools that we've got there now really that's what we're striving for. And that's why we've created those particular tools. The last thing I'll say too is that we really want our constituency to be involved in the advocacy work that we are doing. So there is an advocacy network on our website. People can go in and sign up, and there are over 4,000 grassroots advocates now getting involved in our current advocacy efforts. So, anyone out there that really would like to be heard and to be part of our messaging should join that network. It's free and it's very simple. And then Janine will contact those individuals on a regular basis and let them know what we're working on so that they have their voice with their legislators.
Yeah, I think that would be like a great synergy with the support groups because, what a better audience
Right.
than if you're sharing the advocacy efforts with the individuals who are, benefiting from that, they're more likely to join in on that efforts as well. And I know we've talked about the support groups briefly, but I just would like to give a little bit more detail around that, how you truly support the ostomy community and how they kind of help support each other in these groups.
Right. So we have over, like I mentioned, 265 across the country. We have a staff person. She's our engagement and affiliated support group coordinator. And then we also have a director of affiliated support group affairs. And so those two individuals are really there to support the leadership of those support groups to make sure that they have the tools that they need to support their members. We have a series of support group leaders meetings on bi-monthly. We also, speak to the leaders and have a track at our conference, and I'll be talking a little bit about our conference. And we want them to have the educational materials so they can pass that out to their members. And we've got all of their information on our website, so it's easy for people to find our support groups as well. We have a support group finder webpage. They just put in a zip code or a city and state, and you can find the 4 closest affiliated support groups near you. So that's, again, one of those key resources. And we're always getting calls from ostomates and WOC nurses that want to start a support group. So that's great to hear.
And so, in addition to the groups, like I've had a lot of shy patients. So I've also heard that you have this peer-to-peer ostomy option, or maybe somebody that's a newer ostomate and isn't willing to be out in the public space to talk about it yet. Can you tell us more about that peer-to-peer ostomy option?
Yes, we were approached by Rolf Berneschke many years ago, and Rolf is a huge advocate for the ostomy community. And he had an idea to create an online course for individuals, specifically members of affiliated support groups, to complete so that they had the learning skills, some tips on how to speak to new members of their affiliated support group, and what resources they might want to provide to new members. So we worked with Rolf and his team to put together what's called the Ostomy Friends online course.
Mhm.
And from there, the members of the ASGs, it's great that they can do that. But what if you're not a part of an ASG?
Yeah.
We've gotten calls from veteran ostomates saying, I would love to be able to connect with a new ostomate if they need something. So we worked with Rolf and his team and we created another program called Team Hope. And so once someone's gone through the online course, they can actually be part of a registry. And through Team Hope, they're connecting new ostomates to those individuals that are now in the registry. So there can be personal connections. People can, relate through phone calls or text or email, however they feel comfortable connecting. So it's this peer-to-peer ostomy support through UOAA and Team Hope, and it's gone very well. And I think that it's a great program for people that really just need to have that one-on-one before maybe they're ready jumping into a full support group.
Yeah. And I think the other important detail here is to also share that like this is not medical advice for you. It's sharing experiences, and that if you need somebody to look at your stoma or talk about your unique situation, that there's other options and services through UOAA website that you can find, like a clinic to connect to, and also there's an option for a virtual clinic. So I'd love if you could share a little bit more about that, because I feel like a lot of times when my ostomates are turning to Dr. Google and your website comes up, like this is a great way of making sure they find a good source of information and a good medical team to connect with if they're having an issue.
Right, that's correct. I mean, that was another area that we felt there was a huge gap. What if you're living in a very remote area and it would take you 4 hours to go see an ostomy nurse and you've got a crisis, right? Your pouching system isn't working correctly. You might be having skin issues, or you just feel like you cannot, make that trip into an ostomy clinic or even an ER. We created a partnership with a company called the Wound Company, and they have certified ostomy nurses in their team. And so we set up this program with them called the Virtual Ostomy Clinic. People can sign up for it. They get 30 days of care with a certified ostomy nurse. So there's like an initial intake appointment via Zoom, and they can even, the ostomate can show what the issue is with their ostomy or what the challenge there is that they're facing. And then they come up with a treatment plan. And over 30 days, that ostomy nurse will connect with the ostomate and say, how are things going? Kind of touch points throughout this 30-day plan. And then at the end, they come back and they've got their kind of wrap up and final review to make sure that the treatment plan that was in place actually was successful. So it's a really good program, and it's $125. So that can be, a savings too, beyond someone having to drive to an emergency room or to a clinic that might be 3 or 4 hours away.
Yeah.
And we've gotten really good feedback from people that have gone through that said, that ostomy nurse really saved me. I mean, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was, having all of these leaks. I couldn't figure out why. We had a new ostomate that just didn't understand how to order their supplies and what to order. So they're really there for a number of reasons. And then we also, I'm sorry.
If I could just interrupt you there for a moment, just to say, like, I don't encourage my ostomy patients to go to the emergency room unless they're truly having an emergency, because you're generally not going to find a certified ostomy specialist in there. And I
Correct.
found either one of two things happens: is they don't get answers for what they came in with, and they get sent home with even more frustrated, or they get admitted so that they can then wait for a certified
Mm,
specialist to deal with it. So if there's an opportunity to manage these patients outside of the emergency room, because in all fairness, the emergency room is meant to stabilize and send, whether that's sending them home or sending them to an admission, it's truly for emergencies. And so there are definitely ostomy emergencies. And so if that's the case, there's great material that the ostomy, especially like the ileostomy blockage card, I think is one of the best
right.
an ileostomate can keep with them if they're going to a medical encounter, for that purpose, because often you're educating the clinical staff and it just helps move them along. So that is such a great option. But the virtual ostomy clinic is also not like a 911 of ostomy. It's good to get connected with
Correct.
them ahead of having an emergency.
An emergency, right, right. But if they've been having skin issues, for several days, this
Right.
might be a good resource for them. And
Right.
the other thing that we decided too, and this was something that Janine and her team really felt was important, was to have a locator of ostomy services and clinics that are out there, the outpatient clinics. So we do have that locator on our website now as well. And again, a person can put their zip code in, and a list of all of those clinics that might be in their region come up, about four of them at a time. So and there's a lot of information about those clinics. So it could be their website, it could be, where they're located, it could be whether or not they have an ostomy nurse on site, the whole time, or if it's more of a wound clinic, but they have an ostomy nurse available. So there's a lot of really good information, phone numbers, contact information. So we felt it was important to have this locator as well, because it might be better for someone who is closer to an outpatient clinic to be able to go and drive there and see someone, make an appointment, and actually visit
Yes.
with somebody in person. So we have that resource now on our website as well.
That's great. And then once they've been in that clinic, what about supplies? Like, I know we've talked slightly about competitive bidding, but what information do you have regarding like ostomy supplies?
So there's a couple of things that we can do. So for instance, with the affiliated support groups, a number of them have ostomy supply closets.
Hmm.
So that's one place that we will look for an individual right off the bat if they call and there is issues with getting their supplies. We also know that some of those outpatient clinics have a supply closet, so we'll also check that and to see whether or not there is something close by. We also have a list of resources on our website for the manufacturers. Manufacturers will send samples. We know that there are multiple suppliers that also will work with people that are underinsured or have no insurance. So that is a resource that we provide to them as well. But there are a number of, I would say, support groups that have those supply closets, and that's probably our best resource for them.
That's great. That's great. And of course, it is WOC week this week, which is April 12th through the 18th, 2026. And so certainly in recognizing certified wound ostomy continence nurses, that O is for ostomy nurses. So
Right.
I'm aware, but share with the audience about your scholarship program for that.
Yes, I mean, and this is unfortunately we have heard over the last several years that as an experienced WLC nurse, wound ostomy continent nurse retires, there is not somebody in the wings that's taking their place.
Mhm.
And so we know that we need to try our best to encourage nurses to go through the certified ostomy certification program. And so we set up a scholarship, and our donor base has been very good about supporting that. And we will give out annually $3,000 to a nurse that is going through that required education to become a certified ostomy nurse. They have to complete the course. They sit for their certification with the Wound Ostomy Continence Nursing Certification Board. And once they have gone through that, we will reimburse them that $3,000. And the certification board is also giving them a complimentary application fee, which is valued at $395. So we are giving that out to a nurse every year. So there is a scholarship application on our website that the nurse can complete, and we are just awarding one of the nurses that started in 2024, and she just got her certification. So we just wrote her check, so she's very happy about that. So that is a wonderful program. And we also recognize a WLC Nurse of the Year. Again, through our affiliated support groups, we ask them to nominate their WLC nurse that has worked very closely with them. And the recipient of that award every year is recognized at the WLCN Society's National Conference. They get to come to our conference and are recognized there because we know how valuable those WLC nurses are. Their passion, their dedication, and the time that they give to UOAA is just fabulous. We just love it. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, as somebody who has gone through that education, that $3,000 is a huge help. And of course, that complimentary application fee is also. So that's a wonderful asset for individuals to take advantage of for that. And I know some of the other activities with UOAA that I've personally done have been the ostomy awareness on that first Saturday of the month, as well as 5Ks. So
Right.
as we prepare for this fall, although it's just becoming spring here, so I don't want to think about that yet. But how tell us about some of the opportunities for individuals to become involved in that Ostomy Awareness Day.
Yes, we have a web page that we update on an annual basis, and we come up with a variety of ways that people can engage on that day. We will provide them, some fun little things that we can mail off that they can show, around their community. They can have like a little barbecue and invite all of their community to be there with them and to share that resilience and to celebrate Ostomy Awareness Day. And as you mentioned, we have our 5K runs as well. Um, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. But the other things that people can do is they can go to their city or to their state leadership and ask for a proclamation for Ostomy Awareness Day. And you would be surprised how many that we get back. So if anybody is really interested in, again, raising awareness, going to their local government saying, do this proclamation for us. This is really important. We will put that on that webpage as well and share that with the community. We also have an Ostomy Awareness Day champion, and that person helps us to promote that special day on social media and by attending an event maybe. And so they're just getting out into the population as well and raising awareness. But our biggest part of that is our Run for Resilience Ostomy 5K. And this year we have them on Saturday and Sunday, the 3rd and 4th of October. We have 10 runs, which I think is the most we've ever had. So the in-person ones are this year in Alabama, Idaho, Illinois, Michigan, New Hampshire, New Jersey, North Carolina, Ohio, Oregon, and Tennessee. So they're kind of on the East Coast, in the middle, and on the West Coast, which is wonderful because we want everybody to participate that can in these in-person events. And then we have the virtual Run for Resilience. So that's kind of anytime, anywhere on October 3rd, where you can register to get your t-shirt, just like you would with the in-person ones. Your t-shirt is mailed to you along with the bib. Then you can be out in your park, walk around your neighborhood, gather your family and your friends together and just celebrate the day. And so those two, those are really unique ways that we do that. And that is really our special fundraising event as well. We have a lot of support, and that really is our major fundraiser of the year. So by attending those and participating and fundraising and being part of a race team, all of those dollars that we're receiving from that really help to support our programs and services. So it's kind of a dual thing.
And just to clarify, because I know during COVID, I did the virtual run where my dog got the little handkerchief with the
Oh yeah.
ostomy. I put that on him. I had my shirt and bib on, and I did my 5K, snapped a picture, appropriate hashtag. Frank and Lizzie show is all about the selfies for sure. And is there still a virtual option for those individuals that aren't living in one of those states to do that?
There is. So if you go to ostomy.org /5K, we've got the 10 in person and then the virtual event. So people can register for the in person. They would go there and get their t-shirt and bib the day of, or if they register for the virtual event, all the same rules as far as fundraising and starting your race team and all of that are there. But your t-shirt and your bib are mailed to you, and you'll get that before Ostomy Awareness Day, so you can wear it on that day.
That's great. Yeah. Because certainly for people who have to travel far, that'll be great to at least still be able to stay connected and participate.
Right.
And
exactly.
Then you also mentioned that you have your biennial national conference as well. So tell us more about, I know it just happened in 2025. So for 2026, we won't have it, but in 2027, we will again. Who attends those, and who is it intended for? Is it for ostomates? Is it for caregivers? Is it for clinicians? Who goes to those?
So all of the above, Lizzie, because we created this conference for the ostomy community. And we realize that includes people living with an ostomy or continent diversion, their family, maybe some of their colleagues, the medical professional team around them, and their caregivers. So we wanted to create an experience where everyone that goes to that is feeling like, there is something there for them. So we have a series of educational sessions that kind of meets our mission as well, that are both for caregivers and the ostomates. And we do invite the WLC nurses to those so that they can kind of learn more about the experiences on the other side for their patients. And then we also have some educational sessions set up for WLC nurses and nurses to get CE credits too, because we do want nurses from the area that we're in to come to that to learn more about the ostomy community, and again, maybe encouraging them to become an ostomy certified nurse. So that's what we've created. And it is an event that, like no other. We have social events. We have a free stoma clinic, so the ostomates can go in and see a WOC nurse. They have an hour consultation with those
Wow.
nurses. We have inspirational speakers. We have, some really very interesting guest speakers that have spoken for us. We have a product exhibit hall that usually has over 40 vendors in there. So again, the community can go in and learn about the different products that are being sold and talk to the manufacturers themselves and let them know what's working, what might not be working. They can look at the clothing and accessories that are available. So it's a really unique exhibit hall for people to visit as well. We have surgery specific meets and greets along with some basic educational sessions for new ostomates. And lots of networking opportunities. We always have like a Friday or Saturday night social event with a theme. So everybody comes together and has, maybe a cocktail or a soda and some desserts and just have a fantastic time. And we have heard from so many people, their first experience, they're going, this was life-changing for me. I am now surrounded by people that understand me. I'm a part of the conversation now. I don't have to feel like, I'm in the corner any longer. And they've made forever friends. And we have people that come back every 2 years that have been to every single conference. It's for them, it's an experience that they won't miss. And if nothing else, is to connect with those friends again that they only get to see every 2 years. So we had one in 2025 with 653 people, and 416 of them were first time attendees. So that was fantastic. Yes. Yep.
And I know
So
I was watching it from social media, having serious FOMO, because a lot of my friends in the ostomy world were there, and I saw them walk through like a blow up colon or
yes.
intestines.
Yep.
And there was just
A little educational tool, but kind of fun as well,
I
right?
mean, it looked so fun, and I was so mad that I didn't go. I had a conflict, a family conflict, but I was like so sad that I missed out on all of it, because the other thing that I think you talked about is that product exhibit hall, because especially with the new competitive bidding, it might be
Mm-hmm.
really challenging for you to know what's been developed, what's out there. Can I get it covered for me if I'm an ostomate, or how do I get it covered for my patients? So I think in addition to the networking opportunities, I think that exhibit hall is huge to just touch, feel, play, because maybe you don't want to make the commitment to buying it until you like see it in person. And so I think
Right.
that is like such a great opportunity, because it's not as if that happens locally. So maybe pieces of that could then come back to the support groups and just really get dissipated among the masses as well. But I
Right.
will have to mark August 18th through the 20th of 2027 for
Correct.
taking a flight to Vegas and staying at the West Gate to attend the conference.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. And it's again one of those life-changing events that I hope everybody can take, advantage of at some point.
Right. And I know we talked about how people could become members, and you mentioned that there's additional ways that you raise funds. So, how
Right.
do you additionally raise those funds to continue to offer the plethora of programs and services we've just discussed?
So we have two direct mailings every year. And so one is in the spring and one is in the fall. And that is a way not only for us to, appeal to our donor base and, help them understand where their money is going, but also what our plans are in the future. So it's a way for us to provide some education about, how we're using those dollars that people are donating, because we know, some people it's a difficult decision to make about writing a check to a
Yeah.
charity. And so you want to understand what your dollars are going towards. So it's our way to be able to share that information during these appeal letters. So those go out. We also have regular messaging on our e-newsletter and through our social media networks. We do email blasts to our donor base throughout the year. We actually have had a really generous donor for the last several years that has given us $50,000 twice a year so that we can do a matching donor program. They're an anonymous donor, but they see the true value in what UOAA is doing for this community, and they want us to be around for the future ostomy community as well. So by having that matching donor, I think that that's really been an incentive for a lot of people too. And individuals that give us $500 or more every year can also become part of our Phoenix Society, which is a great, like a little way of just saying thank you. There's some additional benefits for people that can make that commitment to us. We also have sponsorship opportunities for our manufacturers, Hollister, Convatec, Coloplast, Takeda, some of those larger companies. They sponsor our runs. They're on our website with our digital sponsorships. They are the sponsors of our biannual conference. So that helps as well. And then the membership program. We also get several grants every year. One of the grants we received several years ago helped us to write the content for the IBD space on our website. We are named, and it's wonderful to see this, we're named in estates and wills. So every now and then we'll get a letter stating, you are the beneficiary of, this particular person's estate. And it's so moving because sometimes we don't even know who these people are, but somehow we were, they touched us and that connection was made and they saw the value in UOAA. And now we have a new ostomy marketplace. It's just being launched on our website. And so that will be a new source of revenue for us. So that will be a place for vendors and companies to be able to share information about their products and services. And it's a one-stop for the ostomy community to go and see what's available out there as well, and to learn about the different companies and what their products are and their services. And then we also sell ads on our website. So if somebody goes into the website, on a number of pages, there are ads that are rotating. And again, that's a good way for people to understand the companies that are out there, the products that they sell, and it's for a value for the community as well, for the companies that are advertising. So those are the major ways that we're receiving our funds to do what we need to do to provide the programs and services that we offer.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I just learned, because I just had a birthday and UOAA was my donation recipient this year. So every year I pick a nonprofit, and
Oh, that's
this year
right.
it's UOAA. And one of the really great things that I was able to share it on my social media and blast it out and ask for donations that way. And I had people come back to me and say, oh, my workplace matched it. So I did it through my workplace, but I put your name on it. And I was like so honored to have that happen. But it's really nice to know, like, if you don't want to make the donation through a social media site, which some people are against that, you could just go to the UOAA /donate, or you could check
Right.
with your workplace to see if there's a match program available, which I thought was wonderful because every little penny helps to continue to do the amazing work that you've talked about. So
It does, yes. Yeah, our website for the donate page, people can go there and choose the dollar amount that they would like to donate. It explains our different funds. We have a general fund, an ostomy awareness fund, advocacy fund, so they can also direct where they want their donation to go. They can use a credit card, PayPal, Venmo.
yep.
So we accept a variety of ways for people to be able to donate to UOAA as well. So that's very, a simple way to do it. And that matching program is great. We also have people set up a monthly plan so they can make a donation on a monthly basis. So that's an option too. And then there's also, if you go there, people that have to take a required minimum distribution of their IRA, they can also direct those funds to go to UOAA. And we receive quite a few donations that way. from individuals that would like to give a small amount of their distribution from their IRA to UOAA. So you can learn all about that on that donate page too.
Okay, great, great. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for your time. This is extremely valuable. And I know the Frank and Lizzie show has been doing ostomy shorts and some shorter videos on education for ostomates and clinicians as well. And we've used a lot of your content in creating that content. And so thank you for having that available, being willing to speak to us about it so that people can truly understand your organization and hopefully become involved in one of the multitude of ways that we've discussed. And I'll let you just share, finally, as we go out here, how they can stay connected with you and how to contact you if they want more information.
And thank you so much. And thank you for having us on, because I think there's a lot of information maybe that people don't know about UOAA and what we do and the services and programs we offer. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to share that information. They can call our 1-800 number. It's 800-826-0826. Again, that's from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. They can email us at info@ostomy.org, and we will respond to people that way. They can go into our website and go to the contact button at the bottom and complete a quick form that kind of identifies what they're looking for, and then we will respond to people that way as well. And if they're interested in joining an affiliated support group, they can go to the support group finder on our website. But they can always call us and we can help direct them in ways to get involved with UOAA. So yeah, that's probably the best way to do it.
Great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So usually at the end of my episodes, I make sure the audience knows to subscribe to the Frank and Lizzie show, but I'm going to use this time to say, make sure you join UOAA and follow them. They are on some of the socials as well. I know I follow a lot of what they're doing through LinkedIn, but I believe they're also on what social platforms is UOAA on?
We are in all of them.
Okay. There you
So
go.
Ed has made sure that we're actually on all the platforms.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the best thing that for people to do if you go to our website too is if you go to support and go to subscribe to our e-newsletter. That's another way to get that information on what's going on with UOAA. And it goes out on a monthly basis. So I would highly recommend that people join, the conversation, if nothing else, and to learn more about UOAA and what we're doing.
That's awesome. Okay. Well,
All right.
Christine, thank you so much for coming on the show and for sharing all this wealth of information. We'll be sure to include some of the links that you've shared with our audience on the description as well. And we look forward to seeing you in Vegas in 2027.
Great. Thank you, Lizzie. And thank you for your time. Appreciate it.